This is the how-to video for Galactic Nightmares. So first of all, let's just go with what's in the box. We've got our Ranger cards, so we've got Perseus, Orion, Carina, Musca, Andromeda, and Volans. Then we have our ability cards, Prophet, Minstrel, Elemental, Warlock, Cyborg, and Assassin. They are double-sided for your virtuous side or your immoral side. And then up here we've got our rockets. We're going to use those to our skills and abilities we unlock. We've got our dice, our D4s, D10s, D12s, D20s. Finally, our planet cards over here for each planet that you're going to go through, as well as your mana, your experience, the nightmares health, and then your poison indicators and your turn indicator. So, how to play. First thing you're going to do, it's 2 to 6 characters. So we're just going to mock this up and play with these two for right now. So let's get these guys out of the way. And I'm going to play as the Prophet and the Assassin. So I'm going to make Musca my immoral Prophet and Andromeda our virtuous Assassin. Now, once that's settled, you're going to look at your stats of your character and you're going to pick whatever stat you want in 1 to 10. So you're going to have your strength, your dexterity, your intelligence, and your charisma. So they're going to be how strong you're going to be able to move in your strength. Your dexterity is how fast you are. Your intelligence is how quick-witted you are. And your charisma is able to talk yourself out of situations or into certain situations. So all these can go from 1 to 10. You have to pick 1 or at least. And you're going to have your dice associated with it. Your strength is with the D20. Your dexterity is with your D12. And your intelligence and charisma are with your D10. Your D4s are going to be used for status effects like poison or health regeneration. So we're just going to randomly pick some numbers here. We have to have them equal to 20 at the end of it. So if we've got 3 in his strength, plus 5 in his dexterity, we'll give it a plus 7 in his intelligence, and a 3 in his charisma. So he's pretty smart, pretty average all the way around. And then we've got Andromeda. We are going to give her just a full-on 10 in strength. Let's give her an 8 in dexterity. So she is super strong and super fast. Let's give her maybe a 3 in intelligence. And I think we're over. So let's bump that down to 2. Let's take our strength down to 9. And let's give her charisma a 1. So she is a juggernaut, but might not be the most charismatic of our characters. So now that all of our characters are all settled, we're going to also give ourselves some health. So you start off with 30 health. Once you go to 0, you die, and you can't participate in the game. You can be resurrected through other actions or some cards, but until you are, you're out of the game. Now, on your ability cards, you have these constellations you can go through. You have to start at the lowest level 1, so you're going to have 10, which is going to be how much experience it costs to unlock the actual ability itself, and then how much mana it costs. You have to start off with the lowest one and then work your way up. Same thing with the lower part of the constellation you can do as well. They're different abilities, so mostly for either your actions during fights or your actions during some of the planet cards we have. The mana is also pooled as a team. So you've got 100 mana that as a team you collectively use. So if I'm going to use 5 mana to cast this spell, the team then loses 5 mana. Same thing with experience, that's pooled as well. So if I want to use 10 experience, I lose 10 experience from the pool. So as a team, we got to make sure we work together on those things. So the next thing we're going to do is look through the planet deck. So when you go through the planets, you have to work your way up through the planets in the order that is dictated here. And you're going to take out the nightmare of that planet. So in this case, it's Nightmare Perseus. This is Perseus' planet. You're going to take him out, and at any point, you can defeat him and fight him and move on to the next planet. You cannot move on to the next planet until you defeat him. At any point, you can do so. You can go through the planet first, all of it, to get the experience or the full gameplay. If not, if you just want to go through every single nightmare card, good luck. You can try, but you might need that experience in order to move on. So first, like I said, take him out. True Nightmare at the very end. You can only fight him once you've defeated the true nightmare, the nightmares on all the planets first. So some of the cards that you can fight in the planets are encounters. So in this encounter, we've got the Fuzzy Pit. Legend says that in the depths of the pit, there's treasures and pain. Now we've got two options we can do. We can do the virtuous or we can do the immoral one. Just because it's Muska's turn here, just because he is immoral does not mean I have to do the immoral action. I can do either one. So in this instance, investigate it and roll an int check greater than 12. If successful, gain 40 experience. Or choose any ranger to venture in. They roll an int check greater than 12. If successful, gain 30 experience. So I want to use an int check. So what that means is that I have to add up my intelligence stat plus whatever roll that I have with it. So I could choose either one. Now it looks like my Muska here is pretty intelligent, so I'm actually going to use him rather than use somebody else. So I'm going to choose the virtuous action here. Now I need to roll greater than a 12, which is what the check means. So I've already got a stat of 7, so let's hope I can roll a 5 or higher, actually 6 or higher with this D10. D8. So successful! So we gain 40 experience through all that. Yay! So we're just going to move over here, and we're going to use this guy, say 4, 0, 40 experience. Now, it is Andromeda's turn. And on every player's turn, the first thing you're going to do is take your D10, and you're going to roll, and that's how much mana we're going to get back as a team. Now, we've already got full mana, so this is pretty much useless right now, but say we were to use that, we can slowly get our mana back if we wanted to. So some of the other cards that we're going to go through are the Trap. Now, the Trap works essentially the same way as the Encounter on the Planet. Choose either one and then do whatever that action is. Another card would be the Health Shrine. And in this one, we don't have to do any of these. We can choose any of the 3, and you can use any action that you want. Whether it's healing one person, the team a little bit more, or something in between all that. So you can choose any of those abilities. And finally, we've got monsters that we can fight. Now the monsters are a little bit trickier, so we're going to move these cards out of the way. And we've got the Hairless Beast. So the first thing to do is read the little stat here. So we have, when it inflicts damage, it causes the target to become poisoned until the end of the fight. All right, so the next thing is to look at its stats. So we've got its health is 20. Its strength is 6, its dexterity is 2, its intelligence is 6, and its charisma is 5. Some of those stats we really don't need to worry about right now. The main 2 we need to worry about are the strength and the dexterity. And over here, we've got its experience it's going to give you, 10, 15, or 20. Now, we'll say it's Andromeda's turn right now. So, if I was to fight this person by myself, I would get 20 experience. If I felt, okay, maybe I want another teammate in here, just one. If there's 2 of us, I would get 15. And if I had a third player, and all 3 of us wanted to fight, you can have 10. The max you can have is 3 players in a fight. So obviously, you get more experience if you just fight by yourself. But maybe we want a little more support in there, because other players can't use their abilities unless they're in the fight. So I just want to fight by myself with Andromeda. So the first thing to do is we're going to take Nightmare's health over here, which is 20. So let's just set this guy to 20. And then I go first. Now I have no abilities yet that I've unlocked, just because we haven't. Now we could though, and if we did, it would just take away from our experience, add a D4 to any check. So I could do that, but for right now, let's just move on. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna see if I hit the target. Now in order to do that, you take your character's dexterity and you roll the dice. So I've got a dexterity of 8 plus 3. So I have an 11. He has a dexterity of 2 plus 7, so he has a 9. So I hit him. If I had rolled lower than he does, the attack misses, so nothing else happens and it's his turn. Or if I tied him, it always goes to the defender. So again, the attack misses, but I hit him. And what that means is I then take my strength, which I've got a big strong 9 over here, so I'm jacked. And then I roll the strength, and I roll 6. So I'm gonna take 9 plus 6 minus his strength, which is also 6. So I do 9 damage. So I'm just gonna take the 9 from here and then make this down to an 11. So now he's at 11 health. Now it's his turn to do the exact same, where he's gonna take his dexterity and he's gonna roll 9. And then I'm gonna roll mine, a 9 as well. Again, I'm faster, so I dodge his attack. And that continues back and forth until one of us is defeated. And then we move on. And that is the basics on how to play Galactic Nightmares.